sun filtered through the lace curtains of my small apartment, casting delicate shadows on the worn hardwood floor. At 65, I, Esther Monroe, had settled into a life of quiet routines. Each day began with a cup of chamomile tea, sipped from the same chipped blue mug I'd used for decades, followed by a walk to the library where I'd worked for 30 years before retiring. I'd spend hours there, volunteering, shelving books, and recommending novels to the few patrons who still visited our sleepy town's library. It was a simple life, one I cherished for its predictability, until my daughter, Rachel, decided it was no longer enough. Rachel, my only child, had once been my shadow, trailing me through the library stacks, her tiny hands clutching picture books. I'd raised her alone after her father left when she was 5, working double shifts and tutoring on weekends to afford her dance lessons and college tuition. Every sacrifice was worth it to see her graduate with a business degree, her eyes bright with ambition. But then she met Ethan, a slick financial advisor with a smile that never reached his eyes. After their marriage, Rachel's visits dwindled. Her calls became curt, and her warmth turned to a polite distance that broke my heart. That October, the air crisp with autumn, Rachel arrived unannounced, Ethan trailing behind her like a shadow. She wore a tailored coat I'd never seen, and her face was tight with purpose. "Mom, we need to talk," she said, sitting on the edge of my faded couch, as if afraid to get comfortable. Ethan stood by the window, scrolling through his phone, ignoring the photo albums on my coffee table. Pictures of Rachel's childhood, her first recital, our trips to the lake. "This apartment is too much for you now," Rachel continued. Her voice clipped, like she'd rehearsed it. "It's old, the stairs are steep, and you're alone." Ethan and I found a lovely retirement community. They have activities, a dining hall, even a book club. My heart sank. This apartment, with its creaky floors and drafty windows, was my sanctuary. It was where I'd read Rachel bedtime stories, where we'd baked cookies on snowy days, where I'd cried when she moved out. Every corner held a memory, every book on my shelf, a story of our life together. "Rachel, this is my home," I said, my voice trembling. "I'm not frail. I manage just fine." Ethan looked up, his smile sharp. "Mrs. Monroe, it's not about managing. It's about safety. You're not getting any younger, and Rachel worries about you. We both do." His tone was patronizing, like he was explaining something to a child. Rachel nodded, avoiding my eyes. "It's for the best, Mom. The community has nurses, and you'll have friends your age. Besides, Ethan and I need a bigger place. We're thinking of starting a family." The words hit like a slap. My home, the one I'd scraped and saved to keep, was to be traded for their convenience. I looked at Rachel, searching for the girl who'd once hugged me and called me her hero, but she was gone, replaced by this stranger who saw me as an obstacle. "I need time to think," I murmured, clutching my mug to hide the shaking in my hands. "There's not much to think about," Ethan said, his voice smooth as oil. "We've already set up a tour for tomorrow. The paperwork's ready." That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat in my armchair, staring at the bookshelf that lined my living room. Each book was a piece of me: Jane Austen's wit, Dickens' heart, Morrison's fire. How could I leave them behind? How could my daughter, the child I'd poured my life into, treat me like a burden? Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. Not yet. The next morning, Rachel arrived alone, carrying a stack of cardboard boxes. "I thought I'd help you start packing," she said, her voice flat, like she was discussing the weather. She began pulling books from my shelves, stacking them carelessly. "You won't need all these in the community, Mom. They have a library there." "Those are mine," I said, grabbing a worn copy of Pride and Prejudice. "You can't just decide what I need." Rachel sighed, exasperated. "Mom, don't make this harder than it has to be. Ethan says the apartment will sell quickly, and it'll help us with the down payment for our new place. Ethan says, I repeated, bitterness creeping into my voice. And what do you say, Rachel? She flinched but didn't answer, shoving more books into a box. Then she picked up a small wooden box from the shelf, one I hadn't opened in years. It was my late partner Henry's, a keepsake from his days as a rare book collector. This is cute, she said, opening it without asking. A folded letter slipped out, yellowed with age. Rachel glanced at it, then tossed it aside. Just old papers. Something in me snapped. Give me that, I said, snatching the letter. My hands trembled as I unfolded it, recognizing Henry's elegant handwriting. He'd been gone 10 years, his death from cancer leaving a hole I'd never filled. The letter was addressed to me, my dearest Esther. If you're reading this, I'm no longer there to tell you how much I love you. You've always been the heart of our little world, and I wanted to leave you something to ensure your comfort. I never told you about my investments because I wanted you to live simply, as you always preferred. But you deserve to know. You're the silent partner in the Willow Street bookstore chain. Every store, every profit is yours. The documents are in my old safe at the main branch. Use them wisely, not for revenge, but to protect yourself and live the life you deserve. Yours forever, Henry. My breath caught. The Willow Street bookstore was a thriving chain with 5 locations across the state. I'd visited the main branch often, never knowing I owned it. Rachel was still packing, oblivious to the bombshell in my hands. Rachel, I said, my voice steady for the first time in days. Stop! She looked up annoyed. Mom, we don't have time. I'm not moving, I said, holding up the letter. And you're not selling my home. Rachel frowned, taking the letter. Her eyes widened as she read, then narrowed. This can't be real. You're a retired librarian. You don't own a bookstore chain. It's real, I said, feeling a spark of the strength I'd forgotten I had. And I'm going to prove it. That afternoon, I drove to the main branch of Willow Street bookstore, a cozy shop with floor-to-ceiling shelves and the scent of coffee and paper. The manager, a kind woman named Lila, greeted me warmly. Esther, it's been a while. Here to browse. I need to see Henry's old safe, I said, showing her the letter. Lila's eyes widened, and she led me to a back office where a small safe sat in a corner. Using the combination Henry had written, I opened it. Inside were deeds, contracts, and bank statements, all confirming I was the sole owner of the chain. The latest statement showed a balance that made my head spin. Millions, accumulated over years of quiet profits. I spent the next few days with a lawyer, Victoria, who verified every document. You're a wealthy woman, Esther, she said, smiling, and you have full control over the bookstores. What do you want to do? I want to keep my home, I said, and I want to teach my daughter a lesson. A week later, Rachel and Ethan arrived with a real estate agent, a man in a cheap suit who eyed my apartment like it was already his commission. Mrs. Monroe, Ethan said, his voice dripping with false concern. The retirement community is expecting you tomorrow. Let's make this easy. I sat in my armchair, sipping tea, the documents spread on the coffee table. I'm not going anywhere, I said calmly. But you might want to sit down. Ethan laughed, a harsh sound. Esther, don't be difficult. Rachel's worried about you, and frankly, you're not in a position to argue. Oh, I think I am, I said, sliding the deeds across the table. Did you know I own the Willow Street bookstore chain, including the building where your office is, Ethan? Rachel's mouth fell open. Ethan snatched the documents, his face paling as he read. This is fake, he sputtered. You're bluffing. Call my lawyer, I said, handing him Victoria's card. She'll confirm everything. And while you're at it, ask about the lease on your office. It's up for renewal next month, and I'm considering new tenants. Ethan's confident facade crumbled. You can't evict me. I have a contract, which I can terminate, I said, enjoying the shift in power. And I will, unless you start treating my daughter with the respect she deserves. Rachel stared at me. tears in her eyes. "Mom, why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't know," I admitted. "Henry kept it secret to protect me. He knew you'd married a man who'd try to take advantage of me." Ethan stood, his face red. "This is blackmail. You're a bitter old woman trying to control us." "Control?" I repeated, my voice sharp. "Like when you convinced Rachel I was too old to live alone. Like when you told her to pack my life into boxes without asking." Rachel's tears spilled over. "Mom, I'm so sorry. Ethan said it was for your safety. He said you were forgetting things, that you needed help." "I've never forgotten a thing," I said, my heart aching. "But you forgot me, Rachel. You forgot the mother who gave you everything." Ethan stormed out, muttering about lawsuits, but Rachel stayed, her shoulders shaking. "Mom, I was wrong. I let him convince me you were a burden. Can you ever forgive me?" I looked at her, my daughter, lost in a marriage that had dimmed her light. "I don't know, Rachel," I said honestly, "but you can start by leaving him." She flinched, but something in her eyes shifted. Recognition, maybe, of the truth she'd ignored. "I need time," she whispered. "You have until the end of the month," I said. "After that, I'm done letting you hurt me." The next few weeks were tense. Rachel moved into her old room, her pregnancy now visible. She was quiet, thoughtful, helping with chores without being asked. One evening, as I shelved books in my living room, she sat beside me. "Mom, I've been thinking," she said, "about Ethan, about everything. I was wrong to let him control me. I want to make things right." "How?" I asked, not ready to trust her fully. "By leaving him," she said, her voice steady, "and by proving I can be the daughter you deserve." The turning point came a month later, at a community event at the Willow Street bookstore. I'd organized a fundraiser for a local women's shelter, using my newfound wealth to support women escaping toxic relationships. Rachel volunteered, her smile genuine for the first time in years. As we set up tables, Ethan appeared, his face haggard. "Rachel, we need to talk," he said, ignoring me. "You can't throw away our marriage over this." Rachel stood tall, her hand on her belly. "It's over, Ethan. I'm done letting you manipulate me. My mother showed me what strength looks like." Ethan turned to me, his voice low. "You turned her against me. I'll sue you for everything you've got." I smiled, unfazed. "Good luck. My lawyer's waiting, and I own your office building. Leave, or I'll have you escorted out." The crowd watched as Ethan left, his threats empty. Rachel hugged me, tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I see you now. The event was a success, raising thousands for the shelter." Afterward, Rachel and I sat in the bookstore, surrounded by the scent of books and coffee. "Mom, can I stay with you?" she asked. "I want to raise my baby here, with you. One day at a time," I said, my heart softening. "But you're welcome as long as you respect me." Months later, when Rachel gave birth to a girl named Lily, I held my granddaughter and felt Henry's presence. He'd given me more than money. He'd given me the power to reclaim my life. Rachel was learning, growing, becoming the daughter I'd always known she could be. And I, Esther, the silent partner, had found my voice. As I read to Lily from Pride and Prejudice, I smiled. Some battles take a lifetime to win, but they're worth fighting when you know who you are.